I'm Pro A007, and this is an AGDQ 2020 speedrun submission for Syphon Filter, a third-person shooter released for the PlayStation in 1999. This is an any percent run, and I will be aiming for a time limit of 1 hour 15 minutes. I'm looking forward to us showing you this game. This is my 5th submission of Syphon Filter, and I'm hoping this will be the charm, as this game I think has a lot of interesting strats that require a lot of good execution rather than skips and such. Though there are those. So let's begin. So Syphon Filter is an interesting little game. It was released in early 1999, post Metal Gear Solid and Half-Life and all those shooting and action games, which really sort of set the bar for future shooters, both first and third person. Syphon Filter has some of their traits, but it also kind of has a lot of Tomb Raider in it as well, and the developers did admit that was an inspiration for them. In that Gabe can climb on things, he can roll, he can crouch, walk, he can do a lot of things. And it was a kind of a sleeper hit at the time. It sold over 1 million copies and became the foundation for a pretty good franchise that lasted about a decade. AGDQ, the company that made them, went on to make the recently released Days Gone for the PS4. So they're kind of a second-party studio now under the Sony Bend banner. And there were some interesting little Easter eggs in Days Gone, sort of referencing this game. So there's been kind of a small groundswell of people who want to see the franchise come back. So anyway, so first up here is Kravitch. Okay. Kravitch is a weird hitbox. You can have him dead center, and the bullet will go right through him without doing any damage. I think it's because he kind of blends into the background there. So what you're seeing me do here is, as I am approaching an object that Gabe can press or open or whatever, I'm firing the M16 just as he is about to interact with the object. And doing this allows me to skip the animation of Gabe opening or pulling or pressing whatever. And this saves about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds every time I do it. And there are about 60 interactions like that throughout the game. So it does save about a couple of minutes overall in a run. And that's quite important as the higher up you go in this. The other thing you might have noticed me do is, as Gabe is climbing onto something, I'm hitting the aim button as his foot touches whatever he's trying to pull himself up to, and that saves a little bit of time as well, about 1/4 second to a second, depending on the interaction. And that bomb there that I planted the tracker on, I did a sort of a walking animation skip where I'm basically crouching and as I'm interacting with the object, and Gabe kind of does a funny little walk there. And that saves about 1 second. But that one only comes up in a few other places. But otherwise, this first mission is pretty straightforward. The only thing I did as kind of a safety is I picked up that M16 crate in the bank just to help me out in the 4th mission. I mean, it's by no means required, and usually for the four of us who are sub 110 at this game, we don't usually go for that. But it's good as a safety strat. So that first mission was pretty good.
Wait.
415, that's not bad. I'm using my average timer for this run as a barometer of my play. My PB is 104.51, which is a little under 2 minutes off the world record, which is currently held by Valkyrie Brist.
That should be all the C4 you need to blow open that passage.
Baron Haynes is also on the leaderboard. He's known as a Mega Man runner, but before all of that, he was actually one of the first to do Syphon Filter speed running about 15 years ago. And he developed a lot of the early strats, and he developed new strats like this climbing strat, which you saw me as I'm going over, and did what I call the leap of faith to get across that platform so I didn't have to shimmy across, which takes about 12 seconds. But Baron has developed a lot of the newer strats and has helped us optimize a few other things as well, so he's also on the leaderboard.
CBDC is on their way
So
in.
normally, with this section, I'm supposed to go for the gas main and then the bomb for the door.
Leon,
I'm actually doing it in the reverse way because it's actually faster. Not by much, we're talking about maybe a second to a second and a half. But basically this allows Gabe to just run without stopping to protect that CBDC agent because he's supposed to take out 2 guards. And for some reason they despawn if I do it this way. So, it's a nice little quirk. So, didn't get quite the roll I was hoping for going off that car there. Basically, I can roll off the edge of that train car and hit the ground in a roll and without losing any momentum, and actually maybe even gaining a little in the process.
I've spotted Mara Aramov in the
Because my timing was a little off, Gabe kind of did a stagger there, and it cost me about a second and a half. So he's got to find his bearings. So this is a very quick mission. I'm going to try and go for the quick kill on Mara. Let's see if I can get it. Yeah, my aim was off. So that cost me 5 seconds. The quick kill makes this puts this mission at about 22 seconds. This was now 27, so not ideal, but it's fine. So the 4th mission is the first level where you're going to see a lot of resets among the Syphon Filter runners, because the first 2/3 of this mission involve Gabe protecting CBDC agents as they're defusing viral bombs. 3 of them are actually pretty easy. The second bomb, however, is a real challenge for us, because even if we do everything right, there's a chance we get a bad enemy pattern, and it'll end up being a mission failure, because they'll kill the CBDC agent. So that first bomb is pretty easy. Just take out the guard to the left and you can proceed. There is a counter on how many guards you have to get rid of before you can proceed to the next bomb. First one, it's 1. Second one, it's 6. 5 to 6. It sometimes depends, but it's 5 to 6. Third one, it's 4 to 5, and so is the 4th one. So you're basically hoping to get your guards all kind of in a row together. So the problem with the second bomb here is I'm protecting this CBDC agent from a 360-degree range practically, and it can be really hard to get them all to cooperate. I got 3 in a good pattern there. Okay, I'm gonna just... Okay. I actually had 2 guards coming at me from different angles. I went with the one that was in front of me because that just allows me to pick up and go. So that was an okay pattern. The first 3 came pretty quickly. The second 3 was a little slower, and it's pure RNG what kind of pattern you get. We haven't been able to figure out a way to manipulate them to get the same pattern every single time. Game taking a second to load. That's rendering for you in 1999. You can actually go through the floor there if it hasn't finished loading for some reason. That should be enough. Yep. Yeah, that was not a good pattern at all. That's pretty much about as bad as you can get, because ideally I'd like to actually have them coming up from behind me, from where I'm standing, so I can just take them out quickly. Okay, that's good. That should be enough. Yep.
All clear, Gabe.
So that was a kind of again, a so-so-ish pattern. It could have been worse. It helped that the guards were aiming at me rather than the CBDC agent. That's also random. So it's good to have the attention away from them. They can't hit me very easily, so that was no problem for me. So I'm going to play it safe here with this this terrorist who's holding those 2 CBDC agents hostage. You have to be quiet. If the guard hears you, he'll kill them instantly. So I played that one kind of safe. You can slip past the first guard and go for a quick kill on the second guard, but it can be a little tight.
I'm getting interference. You must be right on top of their uplink dish.
Right.
So that was fine. So now down to the wire here. We've got to take out Jorge Marcos, who's the trigger man for the terrorist attack. This is pretty easy. Just sneak up behind him and just headshot him, because he is wearing a flak jacket. We got a little too close to him, and he ran sooner than I would have liked, but it was no problem. So I'm right behind him, so I'd really have to be going all over the place to miss like that. From here, it's a straight shot to the Freedom Memorial for the first boss of the game, Anton Gadu. Overall, that was actually a pretty good level. It's going to be about 520, so 518. That's pretty solid. Before we were able to really kind of optimize some of the enemy patterns in terms of counting and some of the other strats. This used to be a 6-minute level pretty regularly. Gadu is easy. 3 shotgun blasts and he's done. You can use the wall as kind of a buffer.
Are you all right?
He's finished.
You just got to be a little careful with his iframe. Sometimes he you can shoot too early, and with a shotgun you need like an extra second to take him down, and if you're not careful, he can ignite his flamethrower. That's basically an instant death. So now we come to the world famous Fagin Skip. So I'm going to explain this after I do it. Really? That's surprising. I thought I had that correct, so let's try that again. Okay, I'm not really sure what happened the first time. I might have been a little too slow with the guard.
What are you doing here?
Taking out the first guard and running into the Stonehenge pillar might have slowed me down a little bit.
Fagin's run for it. Romo and Airmob.
But basically, how that's supposed to work is, if I take out the first guard, after the guard in front of him moves about 6 paces on the radar screen, I can actually slip past Fagin, because you're supposed to follow him, and then run ahead, get ahead of him in Stonehenge to the point where he can't see me, and then just quietly take out the guards in front of me, because obviously, you know, can't ignore them. And then just go on into the where the cutscene triggers, and you're ahead of Fagin. And you know, that's as simple as that. It's a fairly precise bit of movement and technique, but it's once you kind of get a handle on it, it's actually not that bad. So Benton can be a little bit of a hassle because he's very quick and he's very accurate. You can snipe him before before he can move, but you cannot miss. You've got to be very quick, because if he sees you, he'll start running, and where he runs is completely random. So luckily I was able to snipe him before he could move, and that was good. The rest of this level is pretty straightforward. I'm grabbing key cards and trying to get to the security room to find out where Fagin and Aramov are. So there's a lot of interaction skips, a lot of climbing skips, and you know, and guards are starting to wear flak jackets with increasing frequency. That's the bad news. The good news is there is no RNG as to which guards have them and which ones don't. So you can learn to route your attack strategies based on which guards you're dealing with. And that's very helpful. And you'll definitely need it, particularly in the second half of the game, where the flak jackets do increase in number, and in the final 5 missions of the game, it's nothing but flak jackets. So a mastery of the headshot is required. Luckily, the game tells you when you have a headshot and when you don't, which is a nice little bit of help from the designers, and makes things a lot simpler. So yeah, I'm not really sure how much time that missed Fagin skip cost me. It's at least 35 seconds, probably more. We'll find out in a second here. So I'm going to have to deal with, there's no guard here by the window, which means I have to deal with 3 guards on the catwalk, I think. That's not ideal. I usually want to have it at 2. Yep, 3 guards. Go for it here. Okay. Got around him, so that's fine. Now the K3G4 is the best gun in the game. It cuts through guards' flak jackets and allows you to kill them as normal, so you don't have to go for headshots. And that'll be extremely valuable in the second half of the game.
The entrance to the dinosaur.
Check.
So I'm going to use it here because all the guards I'm dealing with have flak jackets. So I can just run through them no problem. Now the reason I actually set the timer at 1 hour 15 is because death is not especially forgiving in this game. One mistake often costs at least 30 seconds, and this mistake here with the Fagin skip cost me, all told, probably about 40 seconds. There were a couple other things I could have optimized a little bit better, but yeah, that was about a 40-second mistake. And the game does like to be random at times. And this upcoming sequence here with the 2 guards by the keypad is a very good example of that. So I'm going to hope that I get both guards to appear right away, because this will make my life a lot easier. There's one. And there's guard number 2. So basically I'm going to ignore them and get them to run away. For some reason the game will have them run away. Like so.
Tell me where the virus labs are.
I don't know.
Tell me, or I will kill you.
There goes Fagin.
There's the first and only appearance of the air taser. Unfortunately, the game is not designed for, speedrun is not designed for taser use. So basically, if I had taken out, going back for a second, if I had taken out those 2 guards,
Leon, send it.
Gabe, we needed Mara alive.
if I took out those 2 guards, then 2 guards would have propped up behind them, and I would have had to deal with them, and that would have taken me another 8 or 9 seconds. By ignoring the guards, they disappear from the screen, and I don't have to deal with anything. And yes, I shot Mara because that gets the cutscene to end a little sooner than normal, and that saves a couple of seconds. Doesn't have any bearing on the game. Now, this mission here is probably the most random of all the levels,
I've planted the first explosive.
because basically I'm trying to build a stockpile of PK-102 ammo, and also try to be relatively quiet for most of this, at least until I get to Gabrick, which is about halfway through the level. It's no penalty to me if I don't, if I set off the alarm prematurely, but I found it's a little more consistent to be stealthy until I get to Gabrick, which is in about 20 seconds. The one benefit of triggering the alarm early is I get combat shotgun ammo, and that is a one-hit kill on basically every guard I deal with. So I got a guard there. That's unusual. I gotta move so he doesn't shoot the fuel tank, because they do explode. Well, that's not a good pattern. Okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, that wasn't... The guards were right on top of me there, so I basically was done the minute I grabbed the key card. So again, that's why this level is so random and it's so hard to optimize, because the guards can and will do random things in terms of how they attack you, and it's an unlimited amount of guards. You can't just take out the guards and think you're done, because another wave will replace them.
I found the power to the motion sensors. I'm heading over to the bunkers now.
So I hope for a good pattern here from the
That's
guards.
the last explosive. I'll trigger the timer once I'm on the roof and have disabled their radar.
That is not a good pattern. So now, I was hoping to get them without having to use the target button. Unfortunately, that was not the case, so I basically have to play this perfectly the rest of the way. Can be done, it's just irritating. Yeah, got caught in the corner there. So yeah, that death is going to cost me about 15 seconds, I think. Maybe less. So these guards here, I've got to be really precise on how I move. So I'm going to run, roll. Okay, made it. Basically, if I hug the wall, they can't hit me, but I got to make sure that I'm out of the blast radius of the fuel tanks before I do that. Luckily, there is a flak jacket waiting for me.
Leon.
Right here. So this game's not exactly known for its clemency. That's one of the few times that it gives you some. So this the bunker level is basically where all the interaction skips come into play.
Gabe, check your fire.
There is a lot of yeah, I'm not doing this very well right now, but here we go. So it's got 3 guards in front of me there. That's good. I don't want any guards by this door switch here. How they appear is random. Although I got sniped from behind by a shotgun guard. That wasn't quick enough. So these 4 missiles are on a global timer. There's no point in doing the interaction skip except for the last one because it just wastes ammo. Now ideally, I'd like to be at full health for the next mission, which is the second boss fight, which is the helicopter. Unfortunately, I took a hit there, so I'm gonna have to pick up an extra flag. I'm gonna have to pick up a flak jacket before starting the helicopter fight at the beginning of the next mission. It's only a couple of seconds, but you know. So I'm gonna do like a Z pattern here or whatever to get these last
I've got the last code.
4 missiles. Got 3 of the 4 interaction skips with the
Get ready to
missiles.
lift off.
I'm ready.
So yeah, I lost about 3 or 4 seconds here. A little sloppy in the beginning.
Leon, I found the elevator to the roof. Get ready to dust off.
Gabe, the force is crawling
So
to
the
control.
helicopter fight is one we've been working on to try and optimize for a while now, and I think we're starting to get a pretty good handle on this. The first thing is there are 2 spawn points where the helicopter will appear.
Leon, right.
And I'm gonna go into a specific place so I can basically get the same result no matter what I do. So I'm gonna skip the little cutscene here. Okay, so the chopper is actually appearing in the better location. So basically, that did enough damage where the chopper's now starting to billow smoke. Now I've got to take it out before it flies away. It was a perfect 2-cycle fight. So that was good. That was a 60-second level. That's what I like to see. That's a safety play. I really don't necessarily need the flak jacket, but sometimes the guards can be a little random here. And this is where the shotgun gets its moment to shine. Because again, it's a one-hit kill on any guard not wearing a flak jacket. And I will be taking out the guards in specific ways or ignoring them in specific ways to try to get it the best pattern for the end. So I got 2 guards there. That's not quite what I was hoping for. I was hoping for 1. Okay, so there's 1 on the left, 1 in front. Now I need 2 guards to appear as I'm coming down the stairs. And there they are. Good. So there will be no guard waiting for me at the bottom here with a shotgun as a result. Little known fact about this game, the game can only take about 5 enemy sprites on screen. Otherwise, if there's supposed to be more, they will despawn. So that is something I will take advantage of in a couple other places throughout the game.
My God.
So it's about a 28-11 first half, which is adequate.
Check.
But now the real meat of the run begins, starting with the stronghold in the catacombs.
I found the first group of...
The first 2 missions of this section are basically the same, you know, as my little subtitle says for the split. Killing doctors, saving patients. That's all these next 2 missions are about. Nothing else and nothing else. That's all it is. And these missions are frustrating for casual players because there's so much you have to do. And I totally get that. The good news is there is no RNG as far as where the guards appear, or where the scientists and the test subjects appear. So you can build a pretty comprehensive route to take care of them. That said, there are some random bits Actually, I should have taken out that shotgun guard with the PK-102. I got a little ahead of myself there. That's fine, though. So now I'm going to use a gas grenade on 3 scientists up ahead to take them out in one fell swoop. Hopefully, the game doesn't give me any weirdness with the grenade throw. Just got to be a little careful with the grenade, because if it actually gets me in the in its radius, it's an instant death. And that's, at this point, that's a run killer, because that's 2 minutes lost right there. These stronghold missions are not especially difficult, but if you make a mistake, it's very likely going to be an extremely time-consuming one. Because the checkpoints are kind of few and far between. They only prop up when you complete an objective or you get a key card. And again, where the key cards are is, there's no RNG. It's always the same scientists. So you can build your route, again, around that knowledge. You got to be careful with some of these, with some of the scientists, because some of them are actually carrying guns. And in kind of a subversion against the cliche, they're actually pretty good shots. And they're carrying 45s, which do a lot of damage. So, okay, so that scientist will sometimes be running if too much racket is being made outside. And that kind of screws up my routing for this test subject here. I have to deal with the scientist and then him at the same time, and then deal with these 2 guards who try to ambush me coming up the stairs. So it's a lot of things to kind of juggle at once, rather compartmentalize it into 3 very specific phases. So now we come to the library, which I'm actually going to try and provoke the guards to start attacking me, because I want as many guards to appear here, because I'm going to be going up a ramp in a minute. So that guard I will take out. But now I've got 3 guards on screen here, and all of them are kind of sort of shooting at me as best they can through the pillars. So this should be an okay setup for the guard that'll be waiting for me on this walkway. Now, if there were fewer than 3 guards on this before I got onto this walkway, a guard would have attacked me through the window, and again, would have just saved. So, guard accidentally took himself out there, which is a nice bonus. So I don't have to deal with him. So there's another scientist here. He's actually armed. There are guards at the bottom of these piles of boxes, and getting rid of them with the by dropping the chandelier on them just takes care of that problem, because I think at least one of them is carrying a flak jacket, if not both of them. And again, it's tight quarters, so you don't really want to get into a shooting match with these guys if you can help it. Last scientist. Just sneak around the corner. And you want to make sure you're accurate in your shots, because if they start running, it's just a real pain to try and corral them and take care of them. So there's the last door I have to deal with in this level. So the interaction skip with the objects and climbing get a lot of mileage in this level and the next level. So it's never a dull moment as far as those are concerned. That was a pretty solid level overall. It's going to be a few seconds over my average. Yeah, 613, that's pretty good.
I'm finding far common. Right.
So this next level is basically a rerun of the previous level. Another 10 scientists and 4 test subjects. The good news is the test subjects are done after the first half of this mission. So I'm basically firing just to get the scientist to appear. You can actually get him to appear at the bottom of the stairs here after I do my routing, but this is a little safer and a little more consistent, so I'm just going to do it this way. So now we got another test subject here, and there might be a guard at the top of the stairs. And there is. It's random if he appears, but that's also going to alert the scientist, so I can't get a sneak kill on him. Yeah. Not sure why I have the flashlight on, but okay. There we go. You got to be careful coming down these boxes because the fall physics in this game are not particularly nice. If I had gone straight off the edge and hit the ground, I'd be dead. And that would have been about a 90-second mistake. So better to play it safe with these boxes. Now, interestingly, you cannot do the interaction skip, the climb skip with grenades. Probably because they're so portable or something. It's just like little, they're so small. That's why it doesn't allow you to do that. And that scientist I took out with the gas grenade, he spawns when you reach a certain point on that platform. So coming up or coming back, if you just throw, it doesn't matter. So given the route we take, it's better to just, you know, throw the grenade and then trigger it as you're running away, and it's an easy kill. So that's the last of the test subjects. We still got some scientists to take out, and some key cards to collect. And while I wasn't hoping for that guard on the top of the ramp, it does serve an added purpose of giving me some G18 ammo to play with for the scientist up ahead. The G18 has the highest fire rate in the game, and that's quite useful in certain situations like this. I'm also taking some unexpected damage from behind, but that's fine. Okay, so down he goes. The nice thing is scientists all wear flak jackets so you can pick up health as you go along. Again, do not want to go off the edge here. That is an instant death if it happens. And even if it wasn't, it's a major time waste. The scientist through this window here is a little random in terms of how he moves. Sometimes he's charging at you as you reach the corner, and that can be a little tricky because, again, it's tight quarters, he's accurate with the gun, and it just can cause all sorts of health problems for you, as well as ammo problems if you're in a bind. I'm not. I'm in good shape with my ammo. For some reason that guard has 2 PK-102 ammo clips. Not sure why. It's an interesting little glitch. So there's 2 guards here. I'm just going to run past them. Roll a couple of times to avoid taking damage. And whenever possible, if you're going to roll, use a 2-handed weapon, because you get a better roll on the ground than you would with a 1-handed weapon. And that's especially valuable for the fire skips in the game. Can you do it with a 1-handed weapon? Sure. Is it a lot more precise and challenging? Absolutely. Your success rate with a 2-handed weapon is pretty concrete. With a 1-handed weapon, it's anything but. So one more scientist to take care of, and then on to the catacombs. And this section's pretty basic. This is one of many places that would be a good time for a donation, because I don't really have to worry about any of these guards or any situations that pop up. I can just run straight through, take out the scientist, and get on to the catacombs. We have looked into the idea, incidentally, of trying to find a way to drop down from the Rose Chapel and take out the scientist without having to go through this whole thing with the windows. Unfortunately, we have not been able to find a method to do so, and we've also kind of come to the belated conclusion that even if we could, we're not sure it would save any time, because of the way this final section routes. You wouldn't be able to maximize it in any way. Or save your time in any way. So it's kind of something we're tabling for the time being. So this is just drop down here and we're at the end. So that was decent. It wasn't great. So now we come to the infamous catacombs level.
Security has been breached. Roma has ordered that the...
And there is a reason why it's called worst level ever. In the vein of comic book guy.
If you are seen, you won't be able to get in.
Have an evac standing by. It won't be long.
It's worth noting that I let that cutscene play because the scientist actually is farther ahead if I let that cutscene play than he would be if I immediately cut straight ahead to just playing. So it's one of the few times where actually cutscene is valuable. So it saves about 2.5 seconds, we think. So this mission is broken into 3 chunks. First chunk is follow the scientist to Fagin's cell. And this is the most straightforward of the 3 because there's really nothing to it. Just follow the scientist, do not get spotted, and wait for him to open the door. That takes about 2.5 minutes. The second phase is where our blood boils every time because we're having to deal with Fagin, escorting him to Leon's cell, and Fagin is remarkably unpredictable and is very, very hard to optimize because he'll just stop or he'll get held up by a guard or he'll just, be walking when he really should be running. And we have not been able to figure out a way to get an optimized route. Baron's done some experimenting on this, and he's come up with some good ideas, but it's still largely down to chance. So the main thing with Fagin is you can't make it. You're really gonna be hard pressed making it better. The best thing you can do is not make it worse. So I'm going to pick up some G18 ammo here, because the G18 will become quite useful later. Okay. And actually crouching as he opens the door actually allows me to skip that cutscene with Fagin being rescued. Okay. So those 2 guards always appear. The main thing with Fagin is do not run into him. He will stop moving if you do so. There's a guard, making my life miserable. So yeah, that's the thing you just got to worry about. Fagin will stop for just about anything if you let him. And that can be extremely frustrating because it wastes valuable seconds. So I'm going to pick up the K3G4 here to help me in down the... Okay, so usually there's guards on either side. This time it worked. Okay. So, he's gonna go down. Okay. So now,
Oh, this way.
that's actually more G18 ammo than I would have liked to have used there, but that's fine. I'm going to switch to the PK-102 for this section. None of the guards have flak jackets, so I don't have to worry about headshots or using the K3G4. That's the one saving grace here, is the guards are not, there's no randomness to which guards have flak jackets and which ones don't. If they did, this would be a much more aggravating section, because I'd basically be tethered to the K3G4 for pretty much the whole way.
No, this way.
Don't really have to take out that guard, but he can be a troll sometimes, so I just make sure I don't have to deal with him. So this section, this final section here with Fagin, I'm going to switch to the K3G4. Because half the guards have flak jackets and half of them don't. The only downside of the K3G4 is, while it is the best gun in the game, it's not very accurate, actually. It does tend to spray all over the place. Okay, there's the last guard. Now we're done with Fagin. As soon as he opens this door. So apart from that early bit with him getting held hostage by the guard, that was actually
You're on your own.
pretty well-behaved Fagin. But, you know, Fagin be Fagin. You know, there's not a whole lot I can do to make him behave. I can make Leon
Watch it.
more optimized. Basically, if you shoot her and do enough damage, instead of stopping to take out these guards, she is going to run through this whole section. So long as I stay close enough behind her to where she doesn't stop to walk, we can just fly through the last 2 minutes of this level and just gun through it. It is a godsend, because otherwise the section would take about 4 minutes. Because it is actually longer than Fagin's. Especially if Leon is having to stop every 10 seconds to deal with pesky guards. The only thing I gotta be careful of is I don't accidentally want to shoot her. And that can happen sometimes. So you guys gotta be a little careful with your aim. So, yeah, like I waited about an extra second there before taking out that guard, because it's always a dim chance I could have accidentally hit Leon in the process. So from here, it's just down the stairs, just another handful of guards to contend with. I'm gonna mostly ignore them, because it'll allow me to optimize some patterns, some guard patterns later. Unless they try and get in my way like that guy did. Yeah. That 45 guard always charges at you, and he's got a flak jacket, so if you're a little low on health, that's the best place to get it. So all told, this is actually going to be better than my average, it looks like. It's going to be really close, if not. Last guard here, he's got a shotgun, he ignores Leon and shoots at me the whole time. Priorities, right? Luckily, he can't really hit me from there. So that's the end of the catacombs.
There's someone up ahead.
Please.
Here goes Fagin. So it's 816, that's pretty good. If you can get sub 8, you're doing really well, but that usually doesn't happen. You have to get perfect behavior from Fagin.
Gabe, with both sides.
Check.
So this first warehouse level is very random in how it allocates guards and weapons. The guards will be carrying one of two weapons, the PK-102 or the combat shotgun. I actually kind of want a little of both. I need the PK-102 to do some interaction skips, and the combat shotgun is good because it'll mow through most of these early guards in one hit. Because you can't do the interaction skip with a semi-automatic weapon.
Right.
It has to be automatic. So I'm getting decent, I'm getting okay luck here with my weapons. So I got a fair amount of shotgun and PK-102 ammo. Now there is an alternate strategy that Valkyrie actually prefers, where there's an early M79 you can pick up. It's kind of it's a little out of the way, but it's close to where you begin, and it can make some of these early sections a lot quicker. But I'm not totally convinced that it offsets the amount of time you take for the detour in the first place. So I'm going to use the grenade strat. So roll off the edge there, so I don't land and stutter. So we're still experimenting with that, with the two competing routes. I favor the grenades. Valkyrie favors the M79. Although if I do get the M79, I also pick up the grenades for the section that's coming up in a minute here. Because I do believe throwing a grenade in this section up ahead is going to make this a lot easier for me, because I have to shimmy across this platform, or this open gap, and I do not want the guards shooting at me at all. So I'm going to throw a grenade to get them to run, and I took out one of them in the process. So this gets the blue guards, which are Romer's men, to attack Fagin's men in the white. And they're too busy shooting at each other to notice little old me, so I can just slide past. Though they still will sometimes shoot at me as I'm pressing the switch to turn off the electrified fences. I'm not sure if there's going to be a guard here. No. Okay. So now I'm going to throw another grenade and blow these doors open. So now this is tricky. This can be tricky. So I'm going to throw a grenade. The guards are going to spawn. Hopefully no guards appear. Okay. The guards that come out of the corner there are all wearing flak jackets, and they are armed with grenades. So if I don't do that correctly, I'm going to have 3 guards throwing grenades at me, and it could very easily be an insta-kill on me. So by throwing a grenade in that corner there, it allows me to remove them from the equation altogether. So the M79 serves a similar function. So now it's just a run through to the finish here. There's going to be 2 guards up ahead. We're going to be running up to a certain point to take on some of Romer's men. I'm going to run right past them, and the guards are going to be too busy shooting at them to notice me until I'm basically passed. Okay, I kind of jinxed myself there, but so they did notice me, and I did take some damage, but that's all right. That was a really good level overall, though. I got a lot of ammo, and I got some pretty favorable guard patterns. So now, the reason I call this level Full Metal Flak Jacket is, as I think I mentioned earlier,
Leon,
every guard from this point on is going to be wearing a flak jacket, which means headshots are pretty much 100% the norm from this point on. Because otherwise I'd be wasting an entire clip on some of these guards. Okay, so now I'm going to switch to the PK-102. Now there are two routes you can take for this. I'm going to take the left route because I'm going to hope to get an early grenade guard by this fence. So this will make my life a little easier. Unfortunately, it did not appear. Now I've got a guard with a Biz 2 shooting at me. And the Biz 2 is extremely dangerous when your enemies are carrying it. That is, because it has 66 rounds and does a lot of damage. Okay, so I'm going to just try and slip past these guards here and go for the second viral carrier. Hopefully this guard with the Biz does not chase me all the way into here. Maybe he is, but by now it's too late. I'm already basically through. Alright, so now I'm going to try a fairly recent trick here, where I'm basically going to get this guard to... Okay, there he goes. Uh-oh, that's bad. Yeah, it's a little too slow. It's a little too slow making the turn. But luckily, he got rid of those two guards for me by throwing the grenade down the ramp. So that was unfortunate, but it's something I can work around. So from here, it's basically a dead sprint, taking out guards, and just trying to get my way to the finish line. So I'm going to use some K3G4 ammo here. For these first couple of guards, I'm going to switch back to the PK-102. Because unfortunately, K3G4 ammo does not grow on trees. In this game, they only appear in ammo crates. And in the speedrun route, there is no other place where I can pick up K3G4 ammo. So I have to be very economical with it, because it's going to come in handy
That's warehouse 76.
in the final
The
couple of
entrance to the silo
missions.
is in there somewhere.
So the Warehouse 76 mission makes use of 2 fire skips.
Leon, ask Mark. Check.
And actually there are more we're experimenting with, but we haven't been able to make them safe for a speedrun yet. It's more of a theoretical, almost theoretical task at this point. That's fire skip number 1. The second fire skip will be at the end. There's a fire skip here on these boxes where you could actually roll over them and land safely, but you're taking a lot of damage. And you'd have to deal with this guard on top of that, and he's got a shotgun, so basically you'd be one hit and you're dead. There's also another fire skip here on these boxes you can do, but again, you're taking damage, and you really don't have the health to be playing around with that by that point. You basically have to do a perfectly executed roll where you don't actually take any damage. So the second optimal fire skip is right here.
I found the elevator.
There is actually a skip where if you wait for the elevator to go down and then you roll onto it, you can actually skip most of this cutscene. The problem with that skip is you run the risk of accidentally soft locking the game, so I'm not going to do that here. So down to the last 3 missions. The first sort of caverns level is actually not that hard. There's one problem. There's only one checkpoint in this entire level. So if you make a mistake, you're in for a world of hurt. Okay, so that's climbing on that ledge before Leon can call you is what I call the Mara skip, because it's about Leon giving intelligence gleaned from Mara about the lasers and how you have to turn off the power to the lasers. So now that I've got a Biz 2 myself, I'm going to be using this mostly for the rest of this, throughout the rest of this level. Because as I stated earlier, this has 66 rounds per magazine, and it deals a lot of damage. So there's a guard at the top there that throws grenades, but if I just slip past him and climb and just move quickly, I can avoid getting caught in the grenade's blast radius. Now this section up ahead is actually something that's gone through a bit of an evolution in the last several months. Time was you would, you know, press the switch and then you'd have to deal with some guards here as you're coming out down below. What we've discovered is it's actually better to shoot the switch because no guards will appear and you can go through this section without having to deal with a bunch of, without dealing with these guards. The only thing you got to be careful of is got to just be a little careful with coming down off the ledge here, because if you drop and if you go too quickly off the edge, you will hit the ground and you'll be dead. So, not ideal. So just 9 guards to go, and I'm actually going to ignore these next 3 guards altogether. Now that wasn't great, but took more damage than I would have liked, but it's alright. There's 3 more guards up ahead, and I shouldn't have any trouble with them in terms of getting headshots on them. Though the pattern in which they appear is a little random, but they should be coming at me in sort of a crouch walk. So all I have to do is basically snipe them. The game is trying to jinx me here, or make me look stupid. I don't know what.
I've made it into the power room. I'm going to try to overload the generator.
But I took care of them, so that's all that matters.
I'm not sure what that will do to the power room. The whole place could blow.
I don't have much choice.
So that's the last of this level. So now it's on to the Blackout level, which can be a little intimidating at first until you realize that with one exception, all the guards are in the same locations and there's no randomness, and the route is actually pretty straightforward. Okay. So just roll off the edge, and down you go. You're at the bottom. So I'm going to switch to K3G4 here. Just take out these first 2 guards. Then we go back to the Biz for the until the very end of this level. With the K3G, with the Biz 2, you can just run and gun with these guards, and you'll be able to take them out before they can take you out. And again, since there is no randomness to how they appear or when they appear, you can deal with them pretty easily. Now, I mentioned there was one exception. It's at the very end of this level. There's going to be 3 guards by the silo elevator. Sometimes a 4th will appear out of one of the side tunnels. So I'm going to have to account for that as I'm completing the end of this level. Now, in theory, it shouldn't be a problem, but that 4th guard, I believe, is carrying a Biz, so that makes it a little more problematic. And with the 3 guards in front of me all shooting at me at the same time, and I'm running at them, this can be a little precarious, but I should be able to make this work no problem. So let's see how this works. So I'm going to ignore that guard. Okay. There he is. Uh-oh. The targeting buttons nearly got me there.
Leon, I found the elevator down to the silo. See.
basically, if I hug the wall, I can minimize the potential for damage. Because that guard in the ledge can't hit me
Leon?
from where I'm standing.
Right.
So I'm a little light on K3G4 ammo, but I should be okay. So, I actually got one of the guards to die by that grenade toss, so that's good. That's a little random because how the guards appear and how the guards appear and where the guard throws the grenade is a bit random, but that worked out pretty well. I'm gonna try the silo door skip here. This is a fairly precise bit of maneuvering, but I should be able to get this to work. Nah, I don't think I got it. And now I'm dead. So that was unfortunate. I'll try it one more time. I didn't get it. That's fine. It saves about 8 or 9 seconds, because basically what happens is Gabe rolls out, goes into the silo door, and then you can roll him out, and just ahead of the silo door is closing, and actually he will not take any damage for some reason. So you can get to the silo door that opens up here without really losing it, and save yourself a little bit of time.
Gabe, I'm intercepting frantic calls from NATO command. They're tracking the missile's launch. All European
So
commands
up
may
ahead
launch
here
level
is where I'm going to
3.
use the last of my K3G4 ammo.
We're looking at
I'm taking out a scientist and a guard standing by the door. I've got 32 rounds, which should be enough. The scientists, though, and how they behave is random. Okay, so I got that. That guard. Switch through. Okay. So that worked pretty well. So any K3G4 ammo I pick up, any K3G4 ammo I have left over is reserved for the last 3 guards here. So now all I have to do is take out Romer, and I'm going to use a little. I'm going to take advantage of the game's consistently predictable AI to make this an easy kill. So I'm going to throw a grenade in the corner, like right here, and then press the switch, and then time is when after this cutscene, and then this little bit of gameplay. There goes down goes Romer, and time. And that is Syphon Filter, more or less. So there's a lot of movement tech involved, and there's a lot of stuff you have to kind of keep in your head, but it generally is a fairly consistent run. And you know, provided the AI behaves in a few places, I think it's a pretty safe run.
I don't know if we'll ever know.
So I hope this gets in. I hope you enjoyed my explanation of all the little tricks of the trade of Syphon Filter. I think this would be a good run for an underrated game that is just celebrated its 20th anniversary earlier this year, and I think this would be a good showcase for games done quick. So thank you for watching, and special thanks go out to the other runners of the Syphon Filter speedrun community. Barrett Haynes, of course, who started this off and got things going so many years ago, and JY, who really perfected a lot of the modern techniques we use today and did some great job with segmented runs, and Valkyrie Hrist, who is our current world record holder and has found new ways to make the time even better than it was before. So thanks all to them, and thank you for watching. I hope to see you all in Orlando in January 2020. Thank you.